Man, shout out to the Tough Tiger Talk Nation, man. What's happening, fam? Big Q in here on the recap stream, man. Listen, Tigers get it done, man. Shout out to the Tigers. 34-10. It was a little close until the Tigers turned it on in the second half, scoring 18 points and shutting off whatever Arkansas thought they were going to do, just giving them three as they go 34-10 to get the boot trophy. Kick Arkansas in that pit in the backsides. They fall to 4-3, while LSU are now winners of 6 in a row. They improved to 6-1, 3-0 in the conference. The number 8 LSU Tigers making some noise, man, in this one. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys being in the stream. Very big win. Very big win. Very happy. Watching LSU do their thing. This team is really transformed before our eyes, fam. The Ole Miss game, a couple other games, and they've really kind of solidified and turned into a pretty solid unit going forward. Garrett Nussmeier, man, you know, he didn't have the touchdown today, but Garrett Nussmeier, man, is really taking charge with this team. Durham is a running back. They found him along the way. He's doing terrific things. They're starting to get a little healthy. Hopefully CJ Daniels could be all right. He had 7 catches today. Man, Anderson, the young guy from that we picked up from Alabama, who's originally from New Orleans. He's doing his thing, and they're rounding out, man. The defense looks good. And listen, all this, the defensive side, all the question marks we had coming into the year. And then, of course, you look at what the Tigers did insofar as losing Harold Perkins for the year, and Weeks and Greg Penn stepping up, handling the business. I mean, what could you say? Swinson and the rest of those guys, Jones, all these, it's just wonderful, man. Even Major Burns is doing some positive things too. I love those cornerbacks, young cornerbacks that we have too. They're solidifying. And Coach Kelly, man, making some noise in SEC land. So we'll see what it looks like. But on this one, nothing but a solid win by LSU, going up to Arkansas and handling the business. So anyway, big ups to you guys. Appreciate you doing your thing and being here for the recap stream. Shout out, Brother Roses. Need to fix that pass defense. Indeed, against tougher teams. And listen, man, it seemed like every week, you know, we say, what we're going to look out for in terms of the toughness of the SEC. They got a real tough one coming up next week, fam. It's going to be interesting, a very important game too. As you heard some of the commentators were talking about the importance, what could be the importance of this matchup, because Mississippi State handled business. Texas A&M handled business. They beat Mississippi State 34-24. So they are winners also of 6 games in a row. Barrel into that matchup against the Tigers. So it's going to be interesting. But anyway, before we even get to that, man, let's head on over and look at some of these statistics, man, and what LSU was able to do tonight. 25 first downs by LSU to 15 by the Razorbacks. They were 8 of 14 on third down, 4 of 9 by Arkansas, 384 to 277. They did their thing there. 23 of 34 on the pass versus 21 of 31 by Arkansas. You look at the rushing statistics. LSU put up 158 yards worth of rushing on Arkansas for 37 carries for 4.3 yards. And look what they did to Arkansas. Basically one-dimensionalized them. You got to get Green, their quarterback, was trying to do something. He had several really productive drives of trying to orchestrate some stuff. LSU pretty much kept them in check. And then the rushing attack was non-existent. The running back kept getting hurt. Jackson, he had 5 carries for 26 yards. He couldn't stay healthy. Only 38 yards on 19 carries. That's 2 yards per rush. Arkansas just couldn't get it done. Despite the heavy-handed penalties, 11 penalties for 80 yards, that pretty much kept Arkansas in the game. And prior to the halftime period, they had 7 for 78, 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles and a pick by Arkansas. LSU almost had the ball for 39 minutes, a 60-minute matchup versus 20-38 by the Razorbacks. So it was a really interesting game, as you can tell. And we get really into some of the individual statistics. Garrett Nussmeier, 22 of 33 for 224, averaging 7 yards per throw in the matchup. Ricky Collins came in to alleviate Garrett after a good game. He had one on tip for 2 yards. Caden Durham continues to do what he does. 21 carries for a buck 01. He had almost 5 yards a carry. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. So you know who gets the game ball there. Caden Durham continued to do his thing. And man, LSU basically kind of found Durham and he kind of elevated himself into the starting position because Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, we thought some of them guys would be a factor, but Durham has just literally has run away with the starting job. But they did give Caleb Jackson some rushes. He had 5 carries for 30 yards. He averaged 6 yards per run. Josh Williams 5 on 18 for almost 4 yards per scramble. So, rush. So it was pretty cool. The rushing attack for LSU, 158 yards and 3 touchdowns. CJ Daniels came back. First time in a while, 7 catches for 86 yards. He averaged over 12 yards. 12 catches per 12 average on the catch. And Kyron Lacey, the top receiver, that's 6 for 49. Aaron Anderson, 3 for 36, 12 yards per catch. Mason Taylor had 2 for 16 on the day. So it was in Trey Dez Green, the big wide receiver, converted to tight end, or tight end. They kind of converted him to a wide receiver. He was able to get a 2-point conversion there to help LSU. But in the end, man, they're really transforming into something. Now, listen, when the season started, I kind of thought in my mind, looking at LSU, I was like, man, it's a lot of questions there. Can the defense step up? What does the offense look like? Who's going to be can they be able to have a solid running attack? And all that is coming along. Whit Weeks, 9 tackles and a sack on the day. Greg Penn had 6. So did Major Bird. Sage Ryan had 5. Ashton Stamps 4. And Devon Keys had 4 as well. And they were able to get to the quarterback 3 times in this matchup. So like I said, they were fantastic. And Whit Weeks had a fantastic deflection and an interception that basically turned the game around for LSU. He was phenomenal in this matchup. He was putting on for LSU in the major way. And what I said about the defense is, they're missing their superstar, their superstar linebacker, and Harold Perkins, who really didn't look that good. To be honest with you, over the last several weeks when he was healthy, he just didn't look that good. But looked like the defense has started to solidify around Greg Penn and Whit Weeks. They are really playing well, man. And you can see they really turned it on for this matchup. And boy, oh boy, it's starting to look like something, isn't it, family? 6 straight wins by LSU, barreling into this matchup against Texas A&M. So we'll see what's going on with that as well. So anyway, big ups to you guys. Let's hear what your thoughts on it, because, man, listen, Garrett Nussmeier, man, to be honest with you, Garrett Nussmeier, man, I was looking at some of the statistics about him in the season so far, and I was looking at him like, where is Garrett Nussmeier in terms of his ranking in college? And if you take a look at some of the statistics throughout all college, man, he's up there with his completions. You know, he has 160 completions. That's good for 5th in the country. In terms of his yards, he's ranked at 7th in the entire nation with his passing yards at 1989. And in terms of his touchdowns, he's ranked 5th in the country with 18. So tonight, if he would have had a couple of touchdowns, that probably would have put him up there with Chandler Morris, right up under Cam Ward, but he didn't get any passing touchdowns. But boy, Garrett Nussmeier is making a name for himself and being up there with some of the best in the nation, man. So, man, how would this stuff look at the end of the season with Garrett Nussmeier? Because you know he's going to be due with one of those performances where he does get like 3 or 4 touchdowns. And he has plenty of those in him. So like I said, I don't see too many games where he don't get a touchdown because he just throws the ball too much. So eventually we'll see him kind of do 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns and get back into it. But, man, he's been phenomenal for LSU this year, man. And of course, you just think about that and preference that based on what we've had at quarterback from LSU over the last couple of years. Think about that over the last several years. You're talking about Joe Burrow. You're talking about Jaden Daniels. And now Garrett Nussmeier is there winging the thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all fits going forward, man. But now that we get through with that, Now we get to get ready for the matchup against Texas A&M. Like I said, Texas A&M, they took care. They have also winners of 6 in a row. They took care of business against the Mississippi State Bulldogs, which wasn't very hard because Mississippi State is a team that is one. They're 1-6 right now. They're 0-4 in conference. They're exactly the opposite. And Texas A&M is ranked 14 in the nation right now, 6-1, winners of 6 in a row. They're 14-0 in conference play. It's going to be a interesting matchup when these two teams meet, man. And of course, this will be on their side of things in Texas A&M. And man, it could be, fam. It could be. This is going to be an interesting matchup, man. This is going to be very interesting to see where this happen, where this go, because based on the Texas matchup right now, Texas is losing to Georgia. Let me tell you something, fam. Texas right now is losing to Georgia 23-15. They're losing to Georgia right now 23-15. If Texas lose to Georgia, and they're currently losing to Georgia, the third quarter just ended, about to start the fourth quarter. Now Texas have scored there. They scored 15 points in that third quarter, so they trying to barrel back against Georgia. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But if Georgia beats Texas A&M and LSU will basically play next week in Texas and in College Station for the SEC lead. That's how important this next matchup against Texas A&M is in the upcoming week. If Georgia holds on and beats Texas, we'll play for the SEC lead next week in College Station. So that's what kind of stuff we got going on, man, with these two clubs, man. So it'll be interesting. But yes, man, yes, and you're absolutely right, brother, bro. Over the next couple of games, man, we'll tell all what happens here with LSU. It really will, man. This is not going to, like I said, this is not going to be a cakewalk game, man. These guys are going to have to earn it. 6-game winning streak is nothing to bad about, but the next 2 games are really massive games here because we know Alabama. I think Alabama lost today. So you got Texas A&M for what could potentially be the SEC league, and then behind them you have Alabama. So yes, that's what it comes down to. Then Florida, then Vanderbilt at home, and then Oklahoma closes out your regular season. But man, yes, we're in the thick of it right now. We're in the absolute thick of it right now. And you're right, Texas A&M and Alabama, who lost to Tennessee earlier today, 24-17. They lost to them. And Alabama has 2 losses here. So, man, this is all going to be this the best time of the year in terms of college football prior to the bowl season, in my opinion. Alabama has Missouri next week. I think they'll get on the plus side of things. They get ready for the LSU matchup. So, man, all I got to say is, man, it's going to be interesting the next 2 weeks with LSU, man. Bottom line. So, what are y'all thoughts, man? What are y'all thoughts on it? Now, it wasn't a perfect affair. Not, by all stretch of the imagination, it wasn't perfect. But in the end, you got to be kind of excited. You got to be excited about what we've seen from LSU and how they've been performing over the last couple of weeks. Like the Ole Miss game, how they came from behind and was able to, take care of business with the Ole Miss matchup. They were able to win that game. That was a very gutsy performance they were able to pull off. Took a lot of heart in that one to win it in overtime because there was so many times you thought that the game was over, but they tied. The game was tied. Then they go in there, they kick the field goal, and then LSU responds with a touchdown to push the game over with. So I was like, yes, that was a very good game and one of those character building wins for LSU. But I have to kind of rethink myself about what I said early in the season about this damn team. I'm just be honest with you, because at first I didn't really see them as a team because I didn't really believe in what would happen with the damn defense. To be honest with you, fam, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of felt that the defense downfall would be a little bit too much for us to overcome. But at the end of the day, it worked. They were able to improve. Young guys stepped up, and really, you seen Coach Kelly. Like, it was the game with Coach Kelly just put his anger down. That's in the first game The year when you lost to USC, he showed uncharacteristically showing anger, pounding the table, and really just getting right back to business, saying they're going to do this. We got to improve, putting pressure on the coaching staff, putting pressure on the players. And next thing you know, they crystallized 6 straight wins, very difficult wins. Some wins a little easier than others, but had beaten Ole Miss. That wasn't easy. Take care of Ole Miss like we did. Arkansas, during the game until they were able to make plays to break the game open. They took the game away from Arkansas. Whit Weeks with the interception, and then they just mashed on them, turned the interception into touchdowns, and then they just mashed on them. So it was terrific. But anyway, let's get ready to kind of get into the post game and hear from Coach Kelly. Here we go, fam. Here we go. Put one in the chat if y'all can hear it.
But to come down here and play, the kind of football we did today, which was control the line of scrimmage. They had 38 yards rushing, and for us to run the football and close out the game with a drive of 8 minutes and 20 seconds, virtually running the ball every down. That's, those are the things that you look for in, a football team that is emerging as a contender. So proud of our group, proud of the way they prepared for this game, and certainly when you go on the road and win at an SEC venue, certainly a lot of things are coming together for our football team. So again, proud of the effort, and game ball went out to Damian Ramos. I thought the field goal kicks, while the game was still in balance, helped us, stay ahead of it and keep the momentum. And again, made some big plays. The West Weeks, obviously deflection and interception apparently was the backbreaker in the game. So great victory. Now we'll get 24 hours to enjoy it, and then we got to get back on the road and play the the best team in the SEC right now. The only team that's, other than us, undefeated. Another great challenge.
Can you elaborate on the Whit Weeks play? It seemed to be the turning point in the game, and then he made a sack right after that as well.
It's Whit Weeks. He's active, and in that situation, he was in a pressure situation where he was blitzing. But I think what stands out is he's active in virtually all of the plays. You saw a great play that he made coming later in the game down the line of scrimmage on a ball that bounced outside. He's an elite player in this league.
Coach, your defense held Arkansas to 277 total yards. What do you think was so effective defensively tonight that it kind of allowed that to happen?
Well, I think first and foremost, our guys are, we made some mistakes on the first drive, quite frankly. We had some errors. I think our guys were a little bit distracted emotionally. They were so charged up. We made some errors. We settled down, and I think what happened after that was guys did their job the way they were supposed to do it when they needed to do it, and that's execution, really. And they executed. They're beginning to execute at a much higher level consistently, and it starts with controlling the line of scrimmage. They could not run the ball. They became one-dimensional, and when that happens, we can get after it, and we can get after the quarterback, and we made life difficult for him.
Brian, I know 0 trophies are handed out now, but for this team to be where it is heading into a game like we'll have at A&M next weekend, just how do you just sort of, I guess, encapsulate the growth this team's put in the last several weeks, and just how has it been able to set this team up for what it potentially has in front of them?
Yeah, they have not blinked. We lost Jacoby and Gilroy, one of our, arguably our most talented and experienced defensive tackle. Then, obviously Harold Perkins, right? And, we haven't had Chris, who's our, vertical threat all year. and it just seems these guys just keep, playing, through, and the next man stepping up. Nothing seems to phase this group, whether they're down 17-0 on the road, or, struggling to put together, a great drive. They just keep playing, and it's to their credit. Now they're playing cleaner, and I think that's a sign of a team that's really coming together.
Carl, was there anything to the false start penalties?
Yeah, we had three that were double clutches by our center, and sometimes that's on the quarterback, that he's taken a little bit too much time. I think the ownership in that is the management of the entire offense. We can easily say it was the crowd noise. Sometimes we have to get into a better rhythm, and that's getting the receivers lined up quicker. I mean, sometimes it's a fire drill out there. Garrett is getting information, and so look, all of that together, we got to clean it up, because that stuff can't continue to happen. There were more penalties out there than I would like. We'll go back and we'll look at it more closely, but it's not one person. It's the whole management that has to get cleaner.
Yeah, Coach. First time in SEC play, we got to see you guys take a big lead early, sustain it, and then extend on in the second half. Just what kind of lessons can you learn in this game in particular on building the lead early and then sustaining it?
Well, just our vision to how we want to play 4 quarters of football is to start fast and then have just the great kind of focus that we had in the second quarter. Effort, enthusiasm in the third, which I thought we did with the big turnover, and then finish strong with an 8-minute plus drive to finish this game off. So I thought we had 4 quarters of LSU football for the first time, maybe. Yeah, there's some things around the edges we want to clean up, but when you go on the road and you beat a really good football team 34-10 in the SEC, I'd be crying over something that I shouldn't be really right now at this point. We should be taking this one and going. We feel pretty good about it.
Chase?
Hey, Coach, just what was kind of your assessment of how Garrett played today? In the first half, it seemed like he was sort of making some of the same mistakes that he made last week, just kind of throwing things up for grabs. So just, how do you think he got back from that, or what was your thoughts there? Yeah,
I wouldn't characterize him throwing stuff up for grabs. That's lazy, and I think that's an easy way to say somebody that's not detailed in his work. He's detailed in his work. He doesn't do anything by just throwing it up for grabs. So let's get that straight. He may have tried to fit a ball in where maybe he should not have, but everything that he does is thoughtful. Everything that he does is through hard work. He's still in a process of, getting the receivers on the same page with him. Look, there are so many things out there for him to continue to get better at. And the great part about it is he shows up with that kind of attitude every day. So I would just say that he is still working to be the best version of himself, and you're gonna continue to see him get better and better.
There's been so many wild results in the SEC so far, and everything seems to still be up for grabs. And is there a sense with your team of why not us? Why can't we be SEC champions this year the way you're playing?
I think that's pretty clear that this group kind of understands that now, especially, with one game on the road, and then we go on a bye week, and then 3 out of 4 at Tiger Stadium. So I think they can now sense that they have put themselves in a pretty good position. Now they got to go earn it again on the road, but there's clearly a different way that they perceive the next 6 weeks. And I think by their standards, they believe they're getting better, and I believe they're getting better each and every week. And this is a good time to get better later in the year.
In the back.
Coach, you mentioned the turnovers and how important they were earlier. How important is it for those turnovers to kind of continue to happen from this defense going into these next 2 games?
Well, I mean, our defense, I think, if you look at the things that they're doing, number one, I think they led the SEC in sacks. I mean, we're if not, we're right up there. So we're getting those big plays, and now we're turning those into turnovers. There were some physical hits out there. I mean, we jarred the ball loose. I mean, they weren't sloppy, kind of put the ball on the ground. They were physical hits, and they were great plays with pressure. So sometimes you make those things happen, and we didn't luck into those. Those were made with pressures.
We have time for 2 more, Wilson. Brad, y'all talked this week about trying to get the run game going. It certainly seemed like it did tonight. Why do you think that was it finally clicked and was successful the way you wanted it to be?
I just think that this has been a constant focus over the last few weeks of really detailing out the things that we believe we do well and sticking with it. And being really committed to it. Like we stuck with it, and quite frankly, we got the looks this week that allowed us to have a better running game as well. So commitment to it. In preparation, we're spending a lot of time in our preparation during the week on our run game. We believe we can throw it as well as anybody. We need to continue to have this kind of success in the run game.
Carl,
The job the defense has done in the second half of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know a lot of it's belief, but they got to get out there next week too. Your thoughts on putting it all together?
So, absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest thing here is we had struggled with the first drive of the third quarters, and it's been kind of the way we have set up practices. We have talked about, it's third quarter, it's the first drive right after kickoff, and it's been in the forefront of how we think about now the third quarter and that first drive, because it really sets us up. Because we believe if we can get our defense off the field with that first drive in the third quarter, good things will happen. So I applaud the kids in terms of their mindset and what they believe that they need to get done. And we're coaching to it, and they're taking to it. And now we got to go do it again against a really good Texas A&M team at their place. I know this was homecoming. I'm sure they'll schedule homecoming next week there against us too. It just seems like we get everybody's homecoming. So maybe next year they'll think about maybe not making us homecoming anymore.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks.
We'll have players outside.
All right. Thank you, Coach Kelly. Shout out to Coach Kelly, man, as we keep it moving. Hey, man, bottom line is the next matchup here puts us on par against the Texas A&M club Coach Kelly talked about, and this will be a big part of everything. They defeated Mississippi State 34-24 today, and they are, as you can see, they are 6-1. They've won 6 in a row. They're 4-0 in conference play. And like I said earlier, that if depending on what happens in the matchup with Texas, based on what happens there, we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, based on that, man, we could be setting ourselves up to play Texas A&M next week for the lead for the division based on what happened with Texas. If Texas loses their matchup right now, and we'll see what happens with that, because I think right now Texas is they're at Georgia. Well, they playing Georgia right now at home, and they're trailing 30-15 with 11-23 in the fourth quarter. So Georgia look like they're going to hold on to that one, man. So Texas lose. This will be a big win for the Georgia Bulldogs beating Texas. That helps out LSU, because that'll kind of give the Longhorns their first conference loss, and that'll drop them down, and then it'll make Texas A&M and LSU the top 2 teams in the SEC, playing for the early SEC lead next week. So 6 games remaining on the schedule. Huge ramifications of this upcoming matchup. And in terms of where are they going to play at and all this what time is the game? This will be a flex game, potential either 3:30, between 3:30 and 4:30, or 6 to 8, depending on what they decide. And of course, they ultimately will let us know when we get close to the matchup. But like I said, man, LSU and Texas A&M right now, as you can see to the right here of the Southeastern Standards, Texas A&M 4-0 in conference, LSU's 3-0. Both teams are 6-1. The winner there in conference play, as you can see, will hold the early lead there to go to Texas Stadium. Now, you look at the win they had against the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who are not very good, but they basically just kicked up the defense on them in the second half and outscored them 13-7 to take a 34-24 lead. Connor Wigman, who's the starting quarterback for them, didn't really have a terrific game. 15-25 for 217, 8.7 on the throws, 1 touchdown against 2 interceptions with a 68.0 QBR. They really got it going in the defensive side of things, and Texas ran the ball. They had 3 rushing touchdowns off 136 yards rushing against Mississippi State. So they were able to kind of push them on out of the door. A lot stiffer and tougher matchup, and a very difficult matchup against number 14 Texas A&M coming up next week in their building. So like we just talked about, the next 2 games are big blockbuster games for the SEC schedule for LSU. We got Texas A&M in their building, and then we turn around and we got Alabama. So this is going to be big if LSU, that is the test. If LSU could be, and then toward the back end of the season finale is against Oklahoma. Let's not forget them either. They're not as tough as these 2 teams, but still in all, at the back end of the season, you kind of arranging yourself to be in a race for, in that playoff race. So LSU, man, big steps. They have developed into a strong team, man, with Garrett Nussmeier at the helm. Caden Durham is running the ball really well. He's took the lead in the running back room. He's starting to get healthy. Kyron's doing his thing. CJ Daniels, is back. He got the wind knocked out of him on the few plays when they kind of walked him out of the field. But outside of that, they're getting healthy. Anderson, the little wide receivers, playing really well. Our tight ends are strong. Our offensive line is the best in the nation. Our defense is really starting to step up. Swinson is awesome. Like we talked about, Savion is also doing his thing. So we got a lot of promising stuff. Whit Weeks stepped up, and Harold Perkins gone. Also Greg Penn, him and Whit Weeks look terrific. Whit Weeks had an excellent game, getting the interception to help set up the touchdown to push this team out of the way to get Arkansas out of here. But at the end of the day, the secondary looks better. We are, and they are trending in the right direction. So LSU, and we've seen the report. Y'all check it out on the channel. If you hadn't had an opportunity, check out the report from McElroy, who says, don't sleep on LSU. He's impressed by LSU. He thinks LSU is a team that could challenge for a potential national championship. And with all the stuff that we've seen the QB play over the last several years, when you talk about Joe Burrow, when you talk about Jaden Daniels and now Garrett Nussmeier, can LSU surprise? Well, these 2 next games will prove to see, are they contenders or pretenders? Texas A&M is going to be difficult, followed by Alabama. So those are 2 big games barreling toward the end of the season. 6 games remaining left in the season, man. So anyway, with that being said, man, we're looking good on that thing. We're looking pretty good. Zandel, what's up, bro? So it's how y'all feel about that weird formation on defense? They use it. They used it a couple of times, bro. Which means, the only difference is they line up 4 defenders in a row. That's an old school defensive look. I remember seeing that on film some time ago, a long time ago. They used to use that for Coach Baker to break that out and utilize that to kind of befuddle the offensive line. Or what the hell are they doing? But they used it twice. The second time it wasn't as impactful. But, maybe get them a little closer to the line, than what they were, move them a little closer to the line, you know what I'm saying, as what they were before. But it's a dynamic look, something that you haven't seen before, but they used it a couple of times. I don't think that'll be a standard thing that they will use. I think they just kind of use it for novelty, just to kind of create something, a little confusion there. So It was interesting, but that's an old school look they used to do back in the day. So you can see Coach Baker's one of these guys that's obviously a steward of the game on the defensive side. But anyway, with that being said, fam, listen, man, terrific win. LSU defeats Arkansas 34-10. They're now 6-1. They've won 6 in a row. LSU is 3-0 in conference play. And next week against Texas A&M, they will play. They will play for the early lead in the SEC. Who's seen that? I have to be honest, I did not see that. I didn't think LSU would be this far along, but they have showed me some stuff, man. They're really playing really special football, man. And Coach Kelly, listening to him where he was in week 1, and then you come tonight, he talks about how the team is materialized, how they've matured and grew, and then how certain players, despite all of the players, Harold Perkins out, you think they fall apart. No. They just keep winning, guys step up and they make it work. So that's a heart. That's a team with some heart. That's a team with some guts. And let's see how far they can do it. So having fun watching it. Anyway, with that being said, I'm Big Q. Look, I'm going to get ready to get on up out of here just for some of my family members to know tomorrow we'll be on the Sports Coma. Early in the morning, we'll be opening up the phone lines and stuff like that. We'll probably do a little bit of whatever the afternoon, the noonday game is, whatever the case may be. But we'll open up the phone lines on some same stuff to let people vent and all that. That'll be tomorrow morning on our Sunday coverage. So with that being said, I'm going to get out here. Hey, y'all, do me a favor. Please feel free to sub up. Please feel free to share the links for Tough Tiger Talk on your social media feed. It helps us out. So congratulations to LSU. We get the win. We improved to 6-1, 6 games straight, winning streak, big time, 3-0 in conference play. Bring on Texas A&M. With that being said, I'm out. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Much love and go Tigers.